Welcome to Study with Sergi. Before we begin with our lecture today, please download the interactive ebook with the link found in the description below. You can open it with your smartphones using the Kotobi app and follow as I read its content. So to continue our discussion or our lecture from last module, which are the three fields of social sciences which is related to our subject. These are sociology, anthropology, and political science. We will now continue with the module 2, which is culture and society. So to start, what is a society? A society is a collection of interacting individuals sharing the same way of life and living in the same territory. They have a set of institutions which provide their necessities to meet their physical, social, and psychological needs, and which maintain order and the values of culture. Sociologists acknowledge that there are certain patterns in the way societies work. These patterns of people, interactions, and relationship are called social structures, and it's built on the following foundations. So, before we continue with the foundations, so ano yung society? Sabi dito, collection of interacting individuals sharing the same way of life and living in the same territory. So, example nito ay kunyari isang barangay or sa isang syudad kung saan doon nakatira ang maraming tao at doon sila nag-i-interact, nakikisalamuha bilang parte ng kanilang pamumuhay. So another example is a Filipino society, sabi is sharing the same way of life. So meron silang sariling kultura. Okay? Pilipinas, Filipino society, we share Filipino culture. Yan. So yung way of living natin, yung patterns kung paano nag-work ang society, ito ay tinatawag nating social structure. So, ano nga ba yung institutions or ano nga ba yung foundations rather na bumubuo sa ating social structure? Basahin na ulit natin. Social institution. So, these are set of organized beliefs and norms that established how society will attempt to meet its basic social needs. So, social institutions, ito yung nagbibigay ng basic needs ng isang tao sa isang society. So, ano nga ba examples? Examples of social institutions include family, religion, law, politics, economic, education, science, medicine, military, and mass media. So, we will further explain these institutions sa Module 7. So, pero pwede natin i-discuss konti kung ano nga ba yung purpose ng mga institution na ito. So, first, family. So, family provides the emotional, material, and physical support for the family. So, ito rin yung nagbibigay ng regulation for procreation. So, sa isang pamilya, so, di ba sila yung sandalan natin kung meron tayong pangangailangan, emotional, material man, or physical. Okay. Another is regulation for procreation. So, hindi ka naman makakapagsimula or magkakaroon ng mga anak kung hindi ka bubuo ng isang pamilya. Next, we have religion. Purpose nito is provide a forum for people to contemplate and address forces which they can experience but not fully understand, like the divine and death. It provides senses of community identity with the common morals and values. So, yung religion natin, dito nanggagaling, or ito yung pundasyon, or let's say, dito natin natututunan yung mga paniniwala natin. Kunyari sa Christianism, paniniwala natin tungkol sa Diyos at kay Kristo. Yan. Tapos, yung paniniwala tungkol sa langit at saka impyerno. Tapos, sa religion din, kadalasan, nagmumula yung mga morals and values natin. Yan. Yung mga Christian values natin like love, then courtesy or pagiging magalang sa mga magulang, nasa doctrines yan ng Christianism. Okay. Next, law. So, to create order and avoid chaos within society, within a community, and to carry out the rules set forth by community leaders. So, law is, ito yung batas natin, di ba? Law. Ito yung sinusunod natin para magkaroon ng kaayusan sa ating komunidad. Next, politics. So, to provide an organized system of decision-making and to create laws. So, paano ba nagkakaroon ng batas? Siyempre, merong politika dyan kung saan yung mga leaders natin sa government or yung sa ating mga senador tsaka congressman, sila yung gumagawa ng batas. Next, economic. To regulate the distribution of goods and services. So, sa economics, nababantayan natin yung paano napupunta yung mga goods and services from the producers to the consumers. Ito rin yung paano nila mabibili yung mga pangangailangan ng tao. O sino yung magbibigay ng mga pangangailangan ng tao. Next. Education. To pass knowledge from one generation to the next. So, saan tayo, yung mga kabataan natin, saan further nabubuo yung kanilang mga kaalaman, which is sa ating mga schools. Next, science. So, to understand our environment so that humans can have mastery over it. So, karamihan ng ating technology is dahil sa science. So, hindi gaganda or hindi mag-i-improve ang ating pamumuhay kung walang science. Next, medicine. So, to heal illness and injury and to minimize suffering. Okay. So, kung meron tayong sakit, syempre, andyan yung medicine, andyan yung ating mga ospital or other health institutions. And, syempre, kung may sakit tayo, kung wala sila, hindi tayo, kung wala itong mga health institutions natin, magdadanas tayo ng paghihirap dahil sa mga sakit na ito. Next, military. To protect community borders and assets and to expand community borders and assets. So, ano ba yung purpose ng military natin? So, sila yung pansanggalang natin mula sa mga mananakop or sila yung ginagamit ng gobyerno upang sumakop ng para sa lumawak yung teritoryo or kumuha ng assets or mga yaman. Okay? Next. And mass media. To provide information to a community which will enable the members to make informed decision. So, kung wala yung ating mass media, mahihirapan yung dissemination or pagpapakalat ng mahalagang informasyon. Next institution are social groups which consists of two or more people who interact frequently and share a common identity and a feeling of interdependence. So, we will further discuss social groups sa Module 6. So, ano ba yung examples ng mga social groups natin? Yung set of friends natin, isang klase sa isang school, or yung mga kasamahan ng mga teachers. So, yun ay mga social groups. Next, social status. It is a social defined position in a group or society characterized by certain expectations, rights, and duties. So, social status, example natin is yung status mo bilang mayaman or status mo bilang isang empleyado or manggagawa. Okay? Or, kumbaga, ito yung position mo sa buhay. Yan. Or, last is roles. A set of behavioral expectations associated with a given status. So, sa bawat status mo, kung nasaan ka sa yung position mo sa buhay, meron kang role na dapat gampanan. So, further madidiscuss yung social status sa role sa Module 5. So, ano ba yung mga types of social structure? So, merong dalawang types of social structure. First is horizontal social structure. It refers to social relationships and the social and physical characteristics of communities to which individuals belong. So, sa isang society o sa isang lipunan, yung ating interaction sa mga tao, yung ating relasyon sa kapwa natin sa isang society, yun ang horizontal social structure. At next is vertical social structure, which is more commonly known as social inequality, refers to the ways in which a society or group ranks people in a hierarchy, with some more equal than others. So we will further discuss social inequality sa module 9. So vertical social structure, ito meron na yung nahati na ang yung mga tao according sa social class, yung mayaman, nasa middle class, mas mahirap, ganun. Ano nga ba ang relationship of social structure tsaka culture? So the social structure serves as a system for the culture to be practiced, while the culture directs how the society is ought to be organized. If culture crumbles or undergoes change, the social structure likewise pursue. So, yung relationship ng social structure tsaka culture is that kung wala yung social structure natin, ito yung sistema para magawa natin yung ating mga kinagawian or yung ma-practice natin yung culture natin. Example, nakalagay dito, polygamy is against the Christian doctrine. That is why polygamy is against the law in the Philippines. So, law, siya, diba? Institution. Component siya ng social structure. Yung social structure na hindi natin mapapractice yung monogamy kung wala yung batas natin na prohibit or against sa polygamy. Okay. And sabi dito, the culture directs how the society is ought to be organized. So, example nito, one of the Filipino values is strong family ties. That is why most Philippine families do not send their old relatives to homes for the aged. So, dahil sa value natin na strong family ties, hindi natin yung struktura ng ating pamilya, yung extended family. Yan. So, kasama natin sa bahay, yung ating mga lolo't lola. Karamihan sa mga sambahayan ngayon. Ngayon, kung merong pagbabago sa ating kultura, likewise, yung social structure natin, magbabago rin. So, example, ngayong COVID-19, pumasok tayo sa new normal. So, bilang resulta, yung mga batas natin na pinapatupad ngayon ay sumusuporta sa pagbabago na ito ng new normal. Yan. Next. Yan. So, Gerard Lenski and social evolution. So, si Gerard Lenski ay isang sociologist. Sabi nga, Lenski's ecological evolutionary theory states that societies evolve in response to changes in their natural and social environments. So, there are two types of socio-cultural change: innovation and extinction. The first includes adding new elements such as technologies, social practices, institutions, or beliefs to the system. The second type of change is obviously the eradication of the old elements in the system. While extinction surely happens, the process of sociocultural evolution is overall a cumulative process. That is, change and innovation are included further to the system than older elements are removed. This is one reason why sociocultural systems have cultivated and became more complex over time. So, according kay Lenski, nagkakaroon lang ng pagbabago sa society natin dahil epekto lang ito ng pagbabago ng natural tsaka social environments. So there are two types of change na nangyari. Innovation tsaka extinction. Innovation, ito yung pag-improve nung pamumuhay or merong madadagdag sa ating way ng pamumuhay dahil maybe tag nito, merong technology na bago or dahil sa pagbabago ng ideology ng government, ganun. Or extinction. Yun bang extinction, mawawala ng tuluyan yung kultura. Pero while possible na mawala yung kultura, mas nangyayari na imbis na mawala yung kultura, nababago lang or nag-evolve dahil merong mga nadadagdag na element ng culture. So, kaya mas nagiging complex yung ating kultura. So, ano nga ba yung mga types ng societies natin? So, simulan natin mula nung unang-una pa na panahon bago pa nagkaroon ng mga talagang nabuo yung mga lipunan. So, yung unang society natin is yung hunting and gathering societies. Ito yung panahon ng mga unang tao, yung mga Australopithecus, yung mga Homo erectus, Homo habilis muna, tas Homo erectus, tas Homo sapiens. So, ano nga ba yung hunting and gathering societies? It is the basic structure of all human society until about 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. These groups were based around kinship or tribes. They relied on their surroundings for survival. They hunted wild animals using tools and foraged for uncultivated plants for food. They are nomadic. When resources become scarce, the group moved to a new area to find sustenance. Although women and men perform different tasks, most hunters and gatherers probably see sexes as having about the same social importance. So, people come close to being socially equal or egalitarian. So, noong yung mga unang society natin, which are the hunting and gathering societies, yung way ng pamumuhay nila is nabubuhay sila or yung mga pangangailangan nila, nakukuha nila through hunting and gathering. Ito yung mga ngaso sila ng mga wild na animals or yung mga prutas, yung mga kung ano man yung makuha nila sa isang lugar. Okay? So, kapag naubos yung mga pagkain or yung mga pangangailangan nila sa isang lugar, lilipat na naman sila sa another place. Yan. So, nomadic sila, palipat-lipat sila ng tirahan. Noong panahon ng hunting and gathering societies, dahil yun lang naman yung main nilang ginagawa, hunting and gathering, halos pantay lang ang katayuan ng lalaki at babae sa kanilang lipunan. Yan. Yun yung tinatawag nating egalitarian societies. Okay. Next, pastoral societies. So, around 7,500 years ago, human societies began to recognize their ability to tame and breed animals. They relied on the domestication of animals such as a resource for survival. Herding or pastoral societies remained nomadic because they were forced to follow their animals to fresh feeding grounds. Going back pala. So ito, kalimutan ko. Doon sa hunting and gathering societies pala, ang ginagamit nila na pangangaso ay yung mga stone tools. Yan. So, yung bato, binibiyak nila, tapos pinapatalas nila para gawin nilang itong mga tools na to. Yan. Okay. So, ito, pwedeng parang kutsilyo, pabalatan nila yung hayop, ganun. Or ito, parang pana, yan. Okay. Next, sa pastoral societies naman tayo. So, ito nga, natutunan nila paano paamuin yung mga hayop. So, kunyari, yung baka, yan, di ba yung baka pwede nilang katayin para sa pagkain. Yan. So, mag-breed sila, magpaparami sila ng baka. Pero, nomadic pa rin yung mga tao sa pastoral societies kasi kapag naubos ng hayop yung pagkain sa isang lugar, syempre lilipat sila kung saan merong makakain yung kanilang mga alagang hayop. Nun. So, kaalinsabay ng pastoral societies ang horticultural societies. They are developed at the same time as pastoral societies when they discovered their capacity for people to grow and cultivate plants. So, they were formed in areas where rainfall and other conditions allowed them to grow stable crops both from animal food and for sustenance. This allowed them to settle permanently in a place instead of moving from one place to another. Specialized occupations, especially by gender, began to develop as more tasks were done besides herding. So, societies commenced trading and the concept of money was developed. So, sa horticultural societies, natutunan nila na magtanim na. Okay? Pero, yung ginagamit pa nilang tools, yung gawa pa rin sa mga bato na pinatalas, gaya ng nakikita natin dito. Okay. So, hindi na sila palipat-lipat kasi pwede na silang magtanim ng pwede nilang ipakain sa kanilang mga alagang hayop or pwede nilang kainin. Yan. So, yung society ng horticultural societies, medyo nagkaroon na ng division of labor, especially by gender. So, yung mga kalalakihan, siguro sila yung nagpapastol. Tapos yung mga kababaihan, sila yung mga nagtatanim ng mga halaman. Meron na rin silang mga sundalo nun. Tapos nagkakaroon na rin sila ng mga paniniwala, yung religion. Yan. So, dito sa horticultural tsaka pastoral societies, nagsimula na rin yung tawag nito, trading of goods. Yung palitan ng mga gamit, barter, kumbaga. Pero, noon is nagkaroon na rin ng konsepto ng money, kung saan yung tinuturing nilang pera ay yung pinakamahalagang commodity nila. For example, sa isang lipunan, ang kanilang pinakamahalagang commodity is sabihin natin asin. So, ito yung ginagamit nilang pera. Yan. Bago pa nabuo yung pera ng mga coins or paper money, yan, ito yung ginagamit nilang pera pang kalakal. Next, we have agricultural societies. Agricultural societies began with the Neolithic Revolution around 3000 BCE. They developed new tools for farming and learned technologies in growing crops and having better harvest. Human settlements grew into towns and cities, and particularly bountiful regions became centers of trade and commerce. This period became referred to as the dawn of civilization by some because of the development of leisure and arts. Social classes and power structures emerged. So, agricultural societies, nagsimula ito yung tinatawag nating Neolithic Revolution. Neolithic means new stone age. So, na-develop na yung kanilang technology. Yung ginagamit nilang pang saka, hindi na lang yung bato na pinatulis. Yan. Nagkaroon na rin dito discover na rin nila ang metal nung panahon nito. Agriculture societies. Yan. syempre, yung metal, hindi lang sa pagsasaka nila ginagamit, ito rin yung ginagamit nila para sa kanilang mga sandata for defense or para sakupin yung other societies. Yan. Dito sa example, ito ay tinatawag nating stone mill. So, na-develop na rin yung kanilang mga farming techniques. Like, example, crop rotation. Yung bang tatlo or 4 na fields, pinapaikot-ikot nila according to season kung ano yung itatanim. Kunyari dito, ang itatanim nila ay patatas, root crops, pero dito, ang itatanim nila ay palay, ganun. Or tapos ibang halaman dito, ibang pananim. So, according sa season, papaikot-ikotin nila para yung lupa mas ma-utilize yung paggamit ng lupa. Yun. So, agricultural societies, so yung mga nag-boom na rin yung trade and commerce ito, yung mga kung saan yung mga sentro ng trade and commerce, ito na yung kung saan pupunta yung mga tao. Yan. Sa agricultural societies, dito na nagsimula yung mga unang sibilisasyon. Dun sa Sumer, or dun sa Mesopotamia, dun sa India, meron na rin dun sa China. Yan. So, dito meron din sa Egypt. Yan. So, nag-start yung mga civilizations sa mga tinatawag nating lambak ilog or river valleys. Kasi doon sa mga lambak ilog na ito is pwede silang mangisda, pwede na rin silang magsaka. Yan. So, dahil sa pag-usbong ng sibilisasyon, na-develop na rin yung kanilang leisure and arts. So, tinatawag itong dawn of civilization. Pero dahil sa pag-usbong ng sibilisasyon, lalong na-divide yung mga members ng society. So, meron na yung mga hari, meron na yung mga tagasunod nila na kunyari is advisor or tagapayo ng hari, yung mga meron dahil sa may-ari ng yung mga may-ari ng lupa, sila yung mayaman, ganun. Tapos, yung mga pinakababa, andun na yung mga alipin or slaves. Yan. Next, feudal societies. Okay. So, feudal societies, ito ay parang improvement ng agricultural societies. Okay. So, feudal societies, they rose most notably in Europe around 9th century CE and in Japan around 12th century CE. These societies is structured with hierarchical system of power based around land ownership, protection, and mutual obligation. In Europe, the nobility known as lords rewarded knights or vassals by granting them pieces of land. In return for the resources that the land provided, vassals promised to fight for their lords in Japan. In Japan, it is the shogunates who distributed lands to their loyal followers who became landowners or daimyo. Land distributed, known as fiefdoms sa Japan, tinatawag itong shoen, were cultivated by the lower class of peasants and serfs. In return for maintaining and working the land, serfs were guaranteed a place to live and protection from outside enemies. Many lord-vassal relationships were inherited. Unlike in Europe, the feudal system of Japan was less contractually based and a much more personal affair between the lords and vassals, with strong paternalistic influence coming from the former, who were often referred as oya or parent. So, sa ating feudal societies, ito, makikita natin yung structure ng society. Okay? Yung hari, siya yung sinasabi natin na may-ari ng lahat ng lupain sa isang bansa. So, para mapamunuan niya ng mas maigi yung kalupaan niya, dinidivide niya yung lupa sa mga pinagkakatiwalaan niya ng mga aristocrats, yung mga nobles. Yan. Okay. Tapos yung mga nobles, para mas dinidivide pa nila lalo yung lupa sa mga knights or vassals nila. Yan. So, sila yung namumuno. Okay. Tapos, yung mga knights na to, para magamit yung lupain or ma-manage, okay, so meron silang mga kanya-kanyang mga peasants or serfs. Okay. So, kapalit ng ng serbisyo ng mga peasants or serfs sa mga knights, ay meron silang matitirhan at makakain. Yan. Tapos, syempre, responsibilidad ng mga knights, yung mga peasants and serfs na ito, sila yung magbibigay ng protection kung meron mang ibang aristocrat or ibang bansa na sasakop sa kanilang lupain. So, in return naman sa mga aristocrat, itong mga knights and vassals ito yung magbibigay ng protection din sa mga military, protection or military services din sa mga dugong bughaw o mga nobles natin. Siyempre, itong mga knights and vassals and peasants ay nagtatrabaho rin para sa hari. Yan. Okay. So, ano nga ba yung difference ng peasants, serfs, tsaka slaves? Ayun. Kasi parang napag-interchange natin yung meaning nila. Yung slaves natin, pag-aari sila ng tawag nito, nung nobles or nung mga vassals or nung hari. Okay? Pwede nilang ibenta yung mga slaves. Ngayon, yung peasants tsaka serfs, hindi sila pag-aari nung sino doon sa mga nakakataas sa posisyon. Kumbaga, tied sila doon sa lupa na pinagsisilbahan nila. Yung slave, nakatali siya doon sa kanilang pinagsisilbihan. Yung mga peasants tsaka serf, nakatali sila doon sa lupa kung saan sila nagtatrabaho. Yan. So, serfs, yung mga slaves pwedeng ibenta ng kanilang amo. Yung mga peasants and serf is hindi sila pwedeng ibenta. Between peasants and serf naman, medyo mas nakakataas ng posisyon sa buhay yung mga peasants. Yung mga peasants is malaya sila kung anong gusto nilang trabaho dun sa lupa na kung saan sila nagsisilbi. Whereas yung mga serf is that para silang slaves din, okay, yun nga lang, hindi sila nga pwedeng ibenta. Okay. So, industrial societies began in the 18th century in Europe with the invention of the steam engine. A number of inventions and innovations influenced daily lives of people. Urban centers rose with the migration of serfs and peasants from rural agricultural lands to cities in search of factory jobs. Okay. Maintaining family land and traditions weakened and people focused more on survival. Under capitalism, social mobility, both upward and downward, became possible. Power was transferred from aristocrats to the new class of rising bourgeois. The field of sociology was born in response to the rapid change in the lifestyle and unexpected emergence of social issues. So, sa industrial societies natin, na-discuss na rin natin sa previous module, nag-start siya sa pagkakaimbento ng steam engine noong 18th century. So, dahil dito, nagkaroon tayo ng mga trains or mga tren na mas napabilis yung paglalakbay ng tao, distribution na rin ng mga goods, Yan. So, nagkaroon ng mga factory sa mga syudad kung saan yung mga tao sa mga sakahan lumipat ng tirahan, pumunta sila sa mga syudad para maghanap ng trabaho. Yan. Dahil nga doon sa paglipat or migration ng mga tao, yung naging congested nga yung mga cities natin, dito na umusbong yung iba't ibang mga social issues such as abuse sa mga manggagawa, kahirapan, kaya umusbong yung tawag nito, field ng sociology. Yan. So, sabi dito, maintaining family land and traditions weakened and people focus more on survival. Meron tayong terms dyan which are Gemeinschaft and Gesellschaft. Gemeinschaft means human community, wherein the sense of community is characterized by traditional societies where family, kin, and community ties are quite strong. So, matibay yung connection ng mga tao. Kumbaga, isipin mo sa isang rural, is halos magkakilala yung mga tao doon. As societies grew and industrialized and as people moved to cities, social ties weakened and became more impersonal. So, isipin mo yung sa isang syudad, mismong parang sa isang apartment building, yung kapitbahay mo doon sa apartment is hindi mo kakilala. So, ganun yung interaction ng mga tao sa urban societies. Ito ay tinatawag nating Gesellschaft. Okay. So, under capitalism, social mobility became possible. So, okay. Yung dahil sa capitalism, meron yung mga yumaman na naging mas mayaman pa kaysa sa mga may-ari ng lupa, yan, or mga aristocrats. Ito yung mga bourgeois. Ngayon, syempre kapag nagkaroon ka ng trabaho din bilang isang, kunyari, sabi natin sundalo or manggagawa sa isang factory, pwede natin sabihin na mas mataas yung kanilang kalagayan sa buhay kaysa sa mga nagtatrabaho sa mga sakahan. Okay. So, sa capitalism, okay, yung nasa pinakababa ay yung mga manggagawa at mga sabi natin, andun na rin yung mga magsasaka, yan. Mas mataas sa kanila yung mga mayayaman o yung mga aristocrat. Yan. Tapos, mas mataas din yung kalagayan sa buhay ng mga nasa military. Tapos, andyan din yung mga religious leaders natin. At pinakamataas, syempre, yung mga may-ari ng mga businesses, ganyan, yung hari, yan. Okay. Last, post-industrial societies. Okay. Information societies, sometimes known as post-industrial or digital societies, started in the late 20th century. Unlike industrial societies that relied in the production of material goods, information societies are fueled by the production of information and services. Power lies with those in charge of creating, storing, and distributing information. Further decline of labor force from agriculture sector, many also transferred from the manufacturing sector to the service sector of the industry. A significant increase in the number of professional and technical employment and a decline in the number of skilled and semi-skilled workers. Education has become the basis of social mobility, since without technical and communication skills, people in the information society lack the means of success. So sa post-industrial societies natin, ito na yung age of computers. Yan. Yung mga na-invento na yung mga microprocessors, at saka hanggang sa ngayon, ito yung post-industrial society natin. So, kung dati, agriculture tsaka manufacturing lang yung sectors natin sa industry, nagkaroon na rin ng service sector. Yan. So, marami sa kanila ang lumipat from agriculture tsaka manufacture papunta sa services sector. Yan. So, yung kalagayan sa buhay is nakadepende na rin sa edukasyon or level of education na natamo. Like, basis of promotion, di ba? So, sa society natin ngayon, hindi ka mapropromote kung hindi ka hindi ka makakaroon ng trabaho kung hindi ka nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral. Tapos, hindi ka mapropromote kung hindi ka nakatapos ng masterals mo or doctorals. So, ganun na ang pag-angat ng kalagayan sa buhay ngayon. Okay. So, yun yung mga iba't ibang types of society. So, bakit nga ba paano nga ba nag-evolve yung society natin from hunting and gathering papunta sa post-industrial? So, next nating i-discuss yung mga factors of socio-cultural change. So, first factor of socio-cultural change is some physical and environmental factors. So, some physical factors are responsible for social change. Society suffer a lot due to natural calamities like flood, storms, famine, earthquake, and volcanic eruption. The distribution of population over various regions, the variations in the population densities, the agricultural production, and ecology are all affected by these factors. Our clothes, materials used in daily living, habits, and shelter designs are also influenced by the geographical conditions. Changes in the physical environment also force migration of people in large number, which also brings change in the social life and cultural values. So, unang factor ng socio-cultural change ay yung ating physical environment. Okay. Sabihin natin, dahil sa mga natural calamities, lumipat yung mga tao ng tirahan and natutunan ng mga tao yung kultura ng mga taga rito or yung kultura nila is shinare nila sa mga taga rito and yung kultura as a whole doon is nag-evolve. Example, dun sa pagsabog ng Bulkang Taal. Meron pagsabog yun kung saan ilang bayan ang nawala sa mapa. Yan. So, yung mga nakatira dati sa mga lugar na ito is lumipat sila sa ibang mga bayan. So, yung kultura nila dun sa bayan na to is pwede nilang naipasa or natutunan nila yung kultura dun sa lugar na ito. Or tapos other components ng culture like yung pananamit or yung bahay is naapektuhan din dun sa geographical location. Example, sa mga malalamig na lugar, 'di ba? Yung mga kasuotan nila yung mga makakapal or yung long sleeves, ganun. Tapos doon, for example, sa Batanes, na madalas tamaan na bagyo, yung mga bahay nila is gawa sa bato. So, influenced by physical environment yung kultura ng mga tao sa lipunan na iyon. Okay. Next, demographic or biological factors. The social structure of the society is closely related with the changes in size, composition, and distribution of population. Population analysis shows that there is a relationship between population changes and economic, social, and cultural variables like poverty, literacy, health, family structure, forms of marriage, work, etc. Population growth is the most important factor in poverty. So, yung structure ng population, example nito is yung population size, yung ratio ng lalaki sa babae, gano yung rate ng pagkamatay, death rate or birth rate, naapektuhan yung kultura at ang society natin. Example, yung mga matataas or malaki ang populasyon, sila yung maraming mahirap. Dahil sa maraming mahirap, sila rin yung maraming hindi nakakapagbasa or hindi nagkakaroon ng maayos na edukasyon. Apektado rin yung kanilang mga kalusugan kasi yung mga mahirap, hindi sila nakakain ng di tulad ng mga mas may kaya. Ganun. Next, the population of every society is always changing both in numbers as well as composition. Population changes have occurred all through human history because of migration, war, plague, changing mores, etc. Today, we have adopted two artificial ways to control population growth: birth control and abortion. So, yung mga factors na nakaka-affect ng population natin, such as, yung nabanggit kanina, migration, nagkakaroon ng sharing of cultures. Okay. Another is war and plague. Dahil sa war, maraming namamatay. Karamihan is lalaki kasi sila yung napapadala sa digmaan. Okay. Magkakaroon ngayon ng imbalance sa ratio ng lalaki at babae. Yan. So, kunyari, yung babae, namatay yung asawa, mag-asawa siya pwede siyang mag-asawa ng bago. Ganun. Okay. Meron din dahil sa certain societies, dahil mas marami ang babae kaysa lalaki, is yung polygamy, or yung isang lalaki pwede siyang mag-asawa ng higit pa sa isang babae as long as kaya niyang masustentuhan. Ganun. Okay. Next is yung sa modern society natin ngayon, dahil nga sa nakakaapekto ang size ng population dun sa other factors like poverty, literacy, and health, ganon, kinokontrol na ngayon at nag-adapt tayo ng two ways, which are birth control and abortion, wherein abortion is hindi pa legal sa Pilipinas unlike sa other countries like US. Yan. So, family structure din, sa ibang countries, legal ang divorce. Pero sa Pilipinas, hindi pa legal ang divorce. Yan. Next, cultural factors. Social and cultural aspects are closely interrelated. Thus, any change in the culture, ideas, values, and beliefs bring a corresponding change in the whole social order. Social systems are directly or indirectly the creations of cultural values. For instance, a religious doctrine which persisted with variations throughout many centuries has affected the course of society. So, nababanggit na kanina, di ba? Nagkakaroon, dahil sa migration and other factors, nagkakaroon or contact ng one culture to another, nagkakaroon ng cultural diffusion or cultural borrowing. Example, nung panahon ng mga Espanyol, kung hindi dumating yung mga Espanyol, hindi natin ma-adapt yung Western cultures such as yung pananamit or yung paggamit ng kutsara at tinidor sa pagkain. Nun. Or, hindi natin ma-adapt yung mga Christian values na dinalang ng mga Espanyol mula sa kanila pupunta dito sa Pilipinas. Yan. So, andun pa rin yung mga traditional values like bayanihan or yung pagiging maginoo, no? Yan. Naidagdag yung mga kultura ng mga Western sa kultura natin. Next, ideological factors. Ideas and ideologies have been responsible to social change. Main ideas like liberty, equality, fraternity in the world-famous revolution began in the 18th century. Ideologies like fascism, democracy, communism, socialism have very powerful influence on the changing pattern of society. So, na-discuss natin sa previous module yung different ideologies. Yung nga, yung democracy, communism, socialism, capitalism, ganun. Okay. Itong mga ideologies na ito, malaki yung epekto niya sa pamumuhay or sa change dun sa society. Example, dun sa dating Soviet Union, yung rise of workers, wherein inadopt nila yung ideology ng socialism. Yan. So, dahil inadopt nila yung ideology ng socialism, nagbago din yung government nila. Yan. And nagbago din yung mga batas nila and yung kultura nila as a whole. Yan. Dito sa Pilipinas, okay, divided yung ating meron yung kumakalaban sa ating gobyerno. Ito yung naniniwala sa komunismo. Yan. Yung mga NPA natin or yung Communist Party of the Philippines, nilalabanan nila yung gobyerno dahil naniniwala sila sa kailangan mabigay yung kapangyarihan sa mga manggagawa natin. Next, economic factors. The progress of the society is mainly determined by the means of production, which may be agricultural or industrial, rural or urban, depending on economic status. Of economic influences, the most impactful is industrialization. It has revolutionized the whole way of life, institutions, organizations, and community life. In traditional production systems, level of production were fairly static since they were geared to habitual customary needs. Modern industrial capitalism promotes the constant revision of technology of production, a process into which science is increasingly drawn. Industrialization is also responsible for the different classes of people in society, such as capitalists, the middle, and the poor class people. So, nabanggit natin kanina, yung industrialization ng society dahil nga sa pag-improve ng technology. Dahil dito, naapektuhan yung way ng pamumuhay ng tao, like nang na-discuss kanina. Okay. So, further na divide yung mga tao according sa classes din. Ayan. Okay. Next. Scientific and technological factors. Advancement of science and technologies has brought a revolutionary change almost in all societies of the world. The development and discovery of such innovations such as steam power, petrol, electricity, invention of wireless connections, broadcasting, cinema, and television have produced tremendous effect on industry, politics, religion, education, health, means of transportation and communication, family and social structure. Okay. Dahil sa pag-improve ng technology natin, nagbago yung way ng pamumuhay natin. Hindi lang yung economy yung naapektuhan and yung classes, okay, social class. Nagbago din yung lifestyle ng tao. Example, yung dati, ang ginagawa natin is yung communication ay sulat, ngayon, video call na. Kung dati, nanonood tayo sa ating mga TVs or sa radyo lang tayo nakikinig for entertainment, ngayon, pwede na rin sa laptop, sa cellphone. Okay. Kung dati, okay, yung education natin, dati is sa classroom, teacher tsaka student lang ang interaction. Ngayon, dahil sa technology, gumagamit na tayo ng PowerPoint or yung TV, nanonood na lang yung mga bata or students, tapos magdi-discuss yung teacher. So, yun yung mga changes dahil sa scientific and technological factors. Bukod doon, syempre, nag-improve din yung medicine and health natin, nag-improve din yung means of transportation. Kung dati kalesa, ngayon, meron ng airplane, meron ng aeroplano. Yan. Tapos, yung internet, yung may pinakamalaking epekto sa pamumuhay ng tao. Yan. Next, political factors. Politics play a vital role in bringing social change. The state and central government change the rules and regulations for the people in order to change the social pattern. Different political parties with their ideologies bring a social change throughout the country. Women empowerment, violation on women, prohibition on child marriage, reduction on child labor, educational system, etc. Passing the legislation bring a social change. So yung mga batas na pinapasa ng ating Kongreso, syempre susundin natin as a whole and effect is magbabago yung lifestyle ng tao. Yan. So, example, para sa LGBT community natin, meron tayong SOGI bill, though I'm not sure yung progress nito. Okay? Or, kung dati, meron tayong gender discrimination, mas mataas ang katayuan ng mga lalaki kaysa sa mga babae. Ngayon, halos pumapantay na yung katayuan. Meron pa rin mga cases ng tawag nito, yung pang-abuso sa mga kababaihan tsaka sa kabataan. Pero dahil sa mga batas, napapatatag natin yung katayuan ngayon ng mga babae sa ating lipunan. Okay. So, meron ding mga batas na nagbabawal ng child marriage or yung under 18 ikakasal na. And then, meron ding batas para maprotektahan yung karapatan ng mga kabataan natin. Okay. Last, educational factors. Educators, through their educational ideologies, bring a change in the society. Education acts as the chief and most powerful instrument for the social change. Educational institutions, books, magazines, newspapers, etc. greatly affect the social life of the people. Hence, the role of education is felt seriously to change the society in all aspects. So, kung gusto natin talaga magkaroon ng pagbabago sa lipunan, sinasabi na ang pinaka-effective is education. Wherein, papangaralan natin yung mga tao tungkol sa benefits ng pagbabago na ito. Yung paano niya ma-improve yung ating katayuan sa buhay or ma-improve yung karapatang pan-tao. Okay. So, kaya mahalaga yung education kasi sa schools pa lang may tuturo na yung mga tamang asal na magpapabuti ng katauhan ng isang tao paglaki niya at kapag naging kabilang na siya sa ating lipunan. Okay. So, ngayon, we will discuss about culture. Okay. First, what is culture? So, sociologists define culture as all shared products of human groups. These products include physical objects and the beliefs, values, and behavior shared by group. If society is a collection of people, culture is the collection of products that people create. So, sa madaling salita, ang kultura ay lahat ng nagawa or naisip ng tao. Okay. Yung mga bagay na ginagamit natin, yung practices na ginagawa natin sa buhay, okay, yung day-to-day na pamumuhay natin, yan ay tinatawag nating culture. So, ano nga ba yung elements of culture. First, beliefs pertains about the meanings and explanations on convictions and tenets believed to be true. Belief or yung mga paniniwala ng tao. Okay? So, related siya sa religion kasi most ng paniniwala ay dahil sa mga itinuturo ng mga doon sa religion. Example, ng mga unang Pilipino, meron silang paniniwala tungkol sa mga pamahiin. Yan. So, naniwala sila na kapag may dumaan na pusa sa harap nila, magdadala ito ng kamalasan. Mga ganong pamahiin. Yan. Naniwala din sila yung sa aswang, kaya ayun, pinagbabawal na lumabas sa gabi kasi kakainin daw ng aswang. So, yung mga ganong paniniwala. Nang dahil sa paniniwala na ito, umusbong yung mga values natin. So, values are culture's standards for discerning what is good and just in society. So, dahil sa Christianism nga na religion, yan, yung paniniwala sa Christianism, nabuo nga yung mga Christian values sa ating mga Pilipino. Okay. So, Christian values like pagiging mapagmalasakit sa kapwa. Yan. Or pagpapahalaga sa ating mga magulang, paggalang sa kanila. So, dahil nasa doktrina yan ng Kristyanismo, naging part siya ng values natin values na pinapractice natin sa buhay natin. Okay. Next, norms. The shared rules of conduct that tell people how to act in specific situations. Norms are expectations, not the way people necessarily act. So, norms, from the term normal, ano nga ba yung inaasahan na normal na gagawin ng isang tao sa isang lipunan? Yun. So, example, there are 4 types of norms. Okay? Folkways, mores, taboo, and laws. So, folkways, these are customs that are socially approved but do not have any moral significance attached to them. They are common customs of everyday life. So, naging part na ng folkways natin, example is yung eating with silverware or waiting your turn in line. So, wala naman siyang kaakibat na value kasi kahit hindi ka naman gumamit ng kutsara tinidor, is hindi naman sasabihin na masama yon, 'di ba? Pero nakagawian na natin ito. Yun na yung normal na inaasahan na way ng pagkain ng tao. Yan. Okay. Mores, customs that have great moral significance. Ito yung mga practices natin na merong moral significance. Kumbaga, hindi siya lalabag sa values na pinaniwalaan natin. Example, do not take another person's life. So, masama ang pumatay. Yan. Dahil masama ito, pinagbabawal ito. So, mores ang tawag doon. Or, sa Christian values, marriage is between 2 people only. Ngayon, so, kung nilabag ito, meron siyang malalabag na Christian value. Yan. Next, taboo. Prohibitions of an act based on its oddity, non-compliance, or threat to society. Taboos usually change into laws. So, taboos is yung mga, kumbaga, hindi normal. Hindi na kapag ginawa ng isang tao is i-judge siya na masama. Yan. Meron siyang nilalabag na values. Okay. Example, rape and pedophilia are considered morally wrong and that endangers the well-being and stability of society. So, dahil nakakasama siya sa kapwa, yung mga gawain nito ay tabu o pinagbabawal. Okay. So, these taboos are usually changed into laws para mas mapatibay pa yung pagbabawal ng mga gawain ito is sinisabatas sila. So, laws are legal rules that the society recognizes as regulating the actions of its members and which it may enforce by the imposition of penalties. So, example, yung murder, di ba, bawal pumatay, tsaka yung bawal yung pag-aasawa ng higit sa isa. Kaya may tawag nito, merong parusa yung pagpatay, pagnanakaw, and yung adultery or concubinage, yung merong kang kabit, may parusa yon. Yan. Last element of culture is symbols. Symbols are anything used to represent, express, and stand for an event situation. Examples ng symbols natin is yung mga sa language natin, yung mga Filipino jargons natin like charot, or yung meron siyang kaakibat na value like yung being jolly, ganun, or sana all na i-relate natin sa pagiging mainggitin ng tao, ganun. So, symbols are also include gestures such as pagmamano. Yung pagmamano, nagpapakita ito ng paggalang sa ating nakakatanda. Next. So, there are two types of culture, or two kinds of culture. First is material culture. Material culture are physical objects that people create. Sociologists and anthropologists use term artifacts to refer to physical objects of material culture. So, makikita natin, lahat ng naimbento ng tao, nahahawakan, physical, ay material culture. So, example, yung ating mga gamit ngayon, nung unang mga sinaunang tao, yung mga gamit nila sa pagsasaka, yung sandata, yung kanilang bahay, kanilang damit, yun ay material culture. Okay. Next, non-material culture. It is the abstract human creation. So, hindi natin nahahawakan. Kumbaga, nasa isip lamang or pinapractice natin. Example, yung mga ideologies natin such as communism and anarchism. Or yung mga paniniwala natin sa ating mga religion. Or yung mga practices natin, ito, yung practice ng traditional na pagtutuli or yung mga arts natin like tawag nito, yung mga kanta at mga sayaw. Yun ay part ng non-material culture. Yung art natin na tawag nito, yung mga paintings tsaka sculptures, since nahawakan sila ay part ng material culture. Pero yung performing arts natin, like yung pagkanta at pagsayaw, drama or theater, sila ay non-material culture. So, yun yung two kinds of culture. Lastly, ano nga ba ang characteristic of culture? So, first characteristic of culture is that culture is learned. So, we learn culture from families, peers, institutions, and media. It is not biological. We do not inherit it. Much of the learning culture is unconscious. The process of learning culture is called enculturation. While all humans have the basic biological needs such as food, sleep, and sex, the way we fulfill these needs varies cross-culturally. So, ang culture ay natututunan. Hindi siya yung pagkapanganak natin is alam na natin gawin yung practice. Ito ay natututunan natin kanino? Sa ating pamilya, sa ating kaibigan, sa ating paaralan, sa ibang tao, sa ating lipunan. Yan. So, karamihan sa kultura natin is natututunan natin unconsciously, like language, di ba? Di natin namamalayan, marunong na pala tayong magsalita. Or yung sabi nila, yung mayroong makikita yung bata, gagawin na niya. Gagayahin niya. Yan. So, unconscious na matututunan ng bata yung practice. Okay. So, though yung culture ay natutunan, paano natin matutunan nito or i-practice ay magkakaiba depende sa kultura. Example, yung mga dishes natin, iba yung dishes ng India sa Pilipino. Iba rin sa China or sa Japan. Yan. Next, culture is dynamic. All culture change, otherwise they would have problems adapting to changing environments. And because cultures are integrated, if one component of the system changes, it is likely that the whole system must adjust. Most cultures interact and change over the period of time because most cultures are in contact with other different cultures. They tend to exchange ideas and symbols. Na-discuss na natin kanina yung mga factors of socio-cultural change. And na-discuss na rin natin kanina na kung merong pagbabago sa kultura, yung social structure magbabago din. Okay. Next, culture is integrated. All aspects of culture are related to one another, and to truly understand a culture, one must learn about all of its parts, not only a few. This is called holism, or the various parts of culture being interconnected. So, yung kultura natin, yung different elements of culture, interrelated yan. Gaya ng na-discuss kanina, yung paniniwala natin, connected doon yung mga values natin. Dahil sa values, yung mga gawin natin sa buhay, related doon. And then, yung mga gawin natin sa buhay, kung ano yung mabuti at masama, may mga batas tayong pinapatupad. So, integrated, connected. At para mas maintindihan ang isang particular part ng culture ng isang lipunan, kailangan mong intindihin kung paano siya nagsimula at paano siya nakakaapekto sa ibang aspects ng buhay ng tao. Yun yung tinatawag nating holism. Next, culture is shared. Because we share culture with other members of our groups, we are able to act in socially appropriate ways as well as predict how others will act. Despite the shared nature of culture, that does not mean that culture is homogeneous or the same. So, sa isang lipunan, pare-pareho kayo ng gawi, ng lifestyle, dahil shared ng culture. Dahil alam mo yung way ng pamumuhay niya, dahil pareho kayo, alam mo kung paano maki-interact or makisalamuha din sa kanya. Yun yung effect ng culture being shared. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na parehong-pareho kayo. Dahil, yun nga, integrated yung culture, meron siyang meron ibang gawi yung taong ito na hindi ka pareho ng gawi mo kasi yung natuto ka mula sa ibang tao or institusyon tas siya sa iba. Yan. So, that is culture being shared. Last, culture is based on symbol. It varies cross-culturally and arbitrarily. Symbol means something that stands for something else. They only have meaning when people in a culture agree on their use. Language, money, and art are all symbols. Language and is the most symbolic component of culture. So, yung kultura natin ay nakabase rin siya sa mga gestures and symbols na ginagamit natin sa pamumuhay. Example, pagbibigay ng bulaklak. I think sa Europe ata, meron yung kapag nagbigay ka ng bulaklak, iba yung meaning kapag add yung bilang ng bulaklak, iba rin yung meaning kapag even yung bilang ng bulaklak. Ganun. Okay. So, yung mga meaning ng mga gestures and practices na ito is nakadepende siya kung paano yung kasunduan ng tao sa ibig sabihin nito sa isang lipunan. So, yun yung culture being based on symbol. Yan. So, their symbols are the use of language, money, and art. Okay. So, those are the characteristic of culture. So, ito yung second module natin sa UCSP, which is Culture and Society. So, diniscuss nga natin kung yung basics ng isang culture, basic concepts, bago natin mas further di-discuss yung concepts sa ibang module. Yan. So, kung nagustuhan niyo itong lecture video natin sa module 2 ng UCSP, please watch the other videos sa YouTube by clicking subscribe. Okay? Thank you.